Okay, so GIA Abundance Plan, and remember this is something I put together because someone asked me, how can you make $60,000? So I'll probably talk a little bit about that through this, but that's not the most important thing. So let's just jump right in. Okay, I talked about the estimated income ranks for each of our ranks at GIA, and so here they are listed from manager all the way to two-star presidential director. And when I say these are the estimates, well, you know, you can't really say exactly what it's going to be, but based on what it takes to qualify, these are pretty close to the ranges. And you might be wondering, well, why is the range so big? Well, it just depends on the volume that's created within each rank. And so as a senior director, it takes $20,000 to get there, $20,000 in volume, and $15,000 to requalify. But you could be a senior director and have twice as much volume and still be a senior director. So that's why the ranges are here. Now, I kind of highlight director because that's my favorite place to be, because that's where the car program kicks in. And I know I'm looking at a bunch of people on here that have cars paid for by GIA. And I think that's probably the most important place to focus on to get to as soon as you can. But these are the ranges, so I just wanted you to look at these and kind of pick out one that looks really interesting to you. I know when I started GIA, the highest rank was presidential director, I think it was. I don't know if you remember that, Kathy, but I think it was presidential director. And so for me, that was it. I was going straight there, no matter what. I didn't even really pay attention to the ones in between. I just put my head down and just went for it. And that's just the way I work. But for you, I just want you to take a look and say, okay, what's the one? Is it senior director? Is it director with a car program? Even junior director for some people would be amazing. It would help their families. So here we go. Okay, so here's a couple of definitions as we go into this. Volume, when we talk about volume is created by retail customer sales, by wholesale customers, and by GIA consultants and products that they purchase or that they join with. All of that together is what we call volume. Now we break it down in two areas. There's group volume, and group volume is created within the first 4 levels, and it's used, now when I say levels, the first 4 levels below you. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Those, they add up all the volume in those 4 levels, and they use that to determine your rank achievement for that month. That's how they do it. So it's the first 4 levels, and there's something called compression that we're going to talk about a little bit later. Now, organizational volume, when you see OV, that means volume created by the entire organization. So as I go through the slides, I'm just going to ask Kedzie or anybody else if I've left anything out or anything needs to be added, or Sue or anybody. We're good?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay.
John, sorry, I was slow unmuting myself. We didn't talk about personal volume. Are you bringing that up at all during these slides?
Not really.
Okay.
I think it probably will come up. Let me get, are the pictures of everybody in your way at all?
No.
Okay, it's on my screen in a different way. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so here's how I look at it. We're going to start with manager. Of course, there's 2 levels below manager, consultant and senior consultant, but really manager is where I want to start tonight, because we want everybody to get to manager as soon as they possibly can, especially those people who have a desire to create an income with GIA, who want to grow an organization, because manager really is part of the building blocks of GIA. And so to be a qualified manager, now this is really important, is that we talk about qualified managers. So to be a qualified manager, to achieve qualified manager, your volume has to be $1,000 or higher in the month. And also you have to be on $100 ARO. When those 2 things happen, you are a qualified manager. Now, I'm just going to briefly say this. There is another way to qualify without being on ARO. And that's if there's a purchase on your number for $150. So you could go in on your number and purchase $150, or a customer could go on your website, or you could sell a product and order it on your number, $150, that will qualify you also. And I'm just saying this because there are some people who, they'll say, I don't want to be on automatic reorder. It's not a great idea, because if you're not on automatic reorder, there is a chance that you could forget to place the order, and if you forget, you're not going to get paid. That's the bottom line. And so this automatic reorder is really important for two reasons. One, because people get the products every month, they save money. But from a business point of view, it makes sure that you are qualified every single month. Any questions on that? Thoughts? Okay, good. So manager is the building block. Now I've got manager and then I have director here because that's where we want to go as fast as we can. And I wanted to show you how the managers work with the director. And of course, junior director is in between these two levels. And so we're going to move right to director and how this works. And so as you can see, director, the way you become a director is that you have 3 qualified manager legs. That means at least 3 people who have $1,000 group volume and they're on automatic reorder. And when you do that and you have $7,500 in group volume, that's volume that's in your first 4 levels, and you're on ARO, then you become a qualified director. And that's how you re-qualify every single month at director. You create $7,500 in volume, you're on automatic reorder, and you have at least 3 managers. Now they could be higher than managers, and most likely they probably will in a lot of cases. So you might have a junior director, and you might even have a director under you that's causing this volume. But it's minimum of 3 manager, I call them manager legs. So that's 3 separate legs, and you can see how those lines go out, and there's what I call legs. They can't be under each other, they have to be separate. All right? Now note there, it says first time qualification to reach director is $10,000 in group volume. So they make it a little more of a stretch to get there at 10,000 in volume, and then they bring back the qualification. They make it a little bit easier to re-qualify month after month. Now the income for a director is $600 to $2,000 roughly. And I know I've got a few directors on here tonight who know that the income does come in and the CAR program kicks in at directors. So let me just open it up for this slide. Any questions or thoughts? Maybe something I missed. Anybody? Just unmute and come on. Wow, quiet group. All right, so here's somebody's voice. Okay, I don't want to miss, if you've got a question, I have no problem. So now we're building the building blocks. Okay, so now we're going to move on to senior director. Now you can see where managers are still really, really important. They're really the foundation of a senior director. So to qualify as a senior director month after month after month, you have to accumulate $15,000 in group volume. You have to be on automatic reorder for $100 yourself, and then you have to have at least 5 qualified manager legs. 5 of them. Like I said, with the director, some of these legs might be junior director legs, some might be directors, but you have to have 5 legs, 5 separate legs of at least 5 managers. And as I said earlier, to qualify as a manager, they have to have $1,000 in volume and be on automatic reorder. So that's someone that's probably pretty serious about growing their organization. When they can create $1,000 month after month after month, they're out there doing something, they're working their business. Kat, do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So the note there says to get there, to reach this for the first time, you have to accumulate 20,000 in volume. So 20,000 to get there, and then once you get there, then they relax the qualification, they bring it back down to $15,000. And Kedzie, or anybody, do you know what the CAR program payment is at senior director?
$400.
That's right. So it started at $300 at director, and it goes up $100 now at senior. I'm sorry, at director it's $300, and at senior director it's $400 when you qualify. All right. Okay, good. This is going to go easy. Okay, so this might get a little confusing, but I wanted to explain what I meant by compression. Now remember, we talked about the 4 levels. Let's see. Can I do this? No. Okay, good. I talked about 4 levels and how they accumulate the volume within 4 levels, and this line represents 4 levels in an organization. So this would be like a senior director, and you can see how there's a lot of different circles here. So this person is sponsored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people directly sponsored by this person, and then some of those people went out and sponsored others, and so this is pretty typical of what kind of a newish senior director might look like. And so when I talked about senior director, it takes 4 manager legs. And this is really, I think, the good news about our program. You can see that these managers here are on different levels. So there's one on the first level, there's one over here on the second level, there's one over here on the third level, and then there are a couple of qualifying people down here underneath the 4th level. So what happens is that the computer will take a look at your organization and it will search for qualified people in each leg. So in this case, the computer searched to figure out who qualifies in your organization. So in this first leg over here, they found a manager on the 2nd level. So that means that that leg qualifies as one of the 5 necessary to be a senior director. Then if we go to the second person over here, the computer had to search all the way down to underneath the 4th level to find someone who qualified at manager or above. And they found a director down here. And so I'm going to come back to this in a minute. So just know that the computer has looked for that and it's pinpointed someone even under that 4th level. Now, as we go along here, all of these people that were sponsored don't qualify as managers until we get to this manager over here under this person. And so the computer has found another manager. Here's one 1st level, and then all the way over in the corner, there's another one, the 5th one. So what's so unique about GIA's compensation plan, yes, they take the first 4 levels. But what it does, it goes down and finds if there isn't one in those first 4 levels, it'll look for a qualifying person to help you qualify at that rank. And so as you can see here for the director, I put a little arrow here, and that just simply means that that person is going to move up and be counted within the 4 levels. And so that helps us all qualify instead of having to make sure all the people we sponsor qualify, which is practically impossible. As your group grows, you'll have other people who are popping up and qualifying in different levels down below you. That's really why it's so important to duplicate and to grow an organization so that it starts to take on a life of its own and you're not so involved in trying to make everything happen. This is called compression, and it's called roll-up. So the 2 in the red, they roll up to above the 4th level, and their volume is counted to qualify for the senior director leg. Now this hopefully doesn't seem too confusing. Are there any questions about that? And maybe I didn't say it right. One of you can jump in and maybe clarify something.
Well, John, with the compression, the reason those little red dots move up beyond your blue line would be because the blue dots above them in their leg did not qualify, did not have a purchase in place. So they were basically not a paid GIA consultant that month. So it basically, the computer pushes everybody up until there's a consultant in those first 4 levels, which moves those manager and that director up into your organization.
Right, that's pretty much it. So it makes it a little bit simpler for sure. And you'll notice this after your organization begins to grow. All of a sudden, like imagine having a director on your 4th level who's out there talking to people about GIA, and they're growing a team while you're still working with your people. It's like you're getting a leader. And you can imagine what an organization that's been around for as many years as I've been around. I mean, there's probably thousands and thousands of people. If you were to see my organization, U.S., Canada, Australia, New Zealand, I mean, there are people I have no idea who they are in my group. And that's what we want. We want to create duplication. But I wanted to show this to you just to show the uniqueness of our plan and how it really helps us to qualify at our different ranks. So let's move on and talk more about the building blocks. Now, when I started this program, I was talking about how someone would make $60,000 a year. And I was specifically talking about that because I had a question about how to do it. And so if you take a look at the estimated income ranks, to make $60,000 a year, I think it's $5,000 a month, isn't it? If I recall?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to make $60,000 in a year, you want to average $5,000 in a month. And so you can look at these estimated income ranks and see that if you want to do that, if that's a good goal for you, you're going to want to be an executive director, reach executive director, or presidential director. That's the key. So in terms of an executive director, it would have to be a pretty mature, meaning you've probably been there for a while, you probably have a pretty good organization growing. Now, presidential director, it would probably be kind of a medium place because the income is higher at the presidential director level. So let's take a look at what that might look like. Okay, so this is what an executive director's organization might look like. I don't have all the circles here because it would fill up the whole page most likely, but here's how you qualify. So the qualification, the group volume qualification is $30,000 in a month. Now that may seem a whole lot compared to where you are today, but believe me, this is totally possible as an organization grows. And I know Sue, Sue, you probably had volume over this, and Karen, you've had volume over this, and now Tracy, you've been really close in terms of volume. So what you need is $30,000 in volume, and then 2 director legs with 5 manager legs, and that's how I have it shown here. So you have 2 people who have, in your first 4 levels, have reached director. They qualified as director. And as you can see here, each director has at least 3 managers underneath them because that's the qualification for directors. So that's this whole building block idea of managers creating directors, directors creating executive directors, and so on. And as you know from what we just went over, these directors who I'm showing on the first level, they don't have to be there. They could be anywhere in the first 4 levels to qualify. So I just want you to remember what we just went over. It could be anywhere in your first 4 levels. And then these additional managers, these what I call legs, they could be anywhere in the first 4 levels also. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 7 legs here. As executive director to requalify, I believe it's 6 legs, not 7. So if we get there at 7, and then once you get there, then to requalify, they make it a little bit simpler and pull that back to 7. Let's see, first 4 legs, managers. Okay, income is $3,000 to $5,000, so that depends on your volume. And the last thing I put down here is it's going to take around $71,000 in volume in your organization to earn $5,000 at the executive level. So as you looked at the levels when we were taking a look as we began, and you said, you know what, $5,000 is a pretty good number for me. If I made $5,000, I might be able, you have choices. You could quit your job or you could do all kinds of different things. So if that was your goal, then getting to executive director would be where you want to go, without question. Anything I missed on this? Anybody?
No, you did good.
Is this all making sense to you guys?
Why don't you take a temperature? Ask if you pick out a few people.
Well, I can't pick them out. I just want them to unmute. I can't even see everybody, actually.
Okay.
So if anybody has a question, did anybody say like 5,000 would be good?
Yes.
Guys, don't be shy. Let's hear your comments.
No, I appreciate, because this is Rosemary. I have looked at this on paper several times, but gotten lost. So your explanations of it tonight have been very helpful. And Susan, where you added on a minute ago, explaining when it's below the line and it rolls up, that also helped, because I was a little shady on figuring that one out. But I see what you mean, because I have some people that don't necessarily do an AR every month, so I can see where it would roll up. So all of that helped a lot.
Okay, great. Every time I hear a Texas accent, Texas, right?
That's right.
I always think if I had a Texas accent, I would be so much more successful. I don't know why. I always think that. I don't know. There's just something friendly about it, I guess. I don't know.
Thanks.
So that's executive director, $5,000 a month, and you can see how the managers are so critical. And here's the thing. I'm going to go back to this right here.
John, I think Doc is unmuted to make a comment as well when you're ready.
Okay. Hey, Doc.
Yeah, I was just curious to clarify just a little bit on the roll-up or now if, say, you've got several guys but above the line, they're buying something, but they're not qualified managers. Now, if they're buying something, but they're not qualified with ARO or the $1,000 group, but they did something, does that eliminate the ability for it to roll up?
Not really. It's going to go down and find your first qualified manager. Now, so, I mean, let's say this person right here is the person you're talking about. You see where I'm pointing? Right here?
Yep.
If this person has some volume, let's say this person has $100 in volume, all right? That's not very much, right? But as you look at these other people, let's say there's some active people in here and they're creating some volume, and if that volume adds up to $1,000 together, then that person's going to qualify as a manager.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So
right.
If nobody's qualifying, if nobody has $1,000 in volume and $100 ARO, the computer's going to search down until they find that one. They're going to roll them up so you qualify. Make sense?
Yes. Okay.
Can I add to that, John?
Yeah.
Yeah. Using that same example, if, for example, I mean, how many dots do you have here? My little guy's in the way here. So all your direct first level, second level, third level, fourth level, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots. Even if 5 of those 6 only purchase an ARO of 35, as long as one of them has $100, they're going to qualify as a manager because they're below them. The director falls under them within their 4 levels, making them a manager. Does that make sense, everybody?
I'm not sure it makes sense to everybody. You know, it probably will take a little bit of thinking about it, but you're right. You're right. The point is that the computer is going to find that manager, and they're going to bring it up, and it's going to help you qualify. So that's the key. I don't want to get too technical about it, Sue, because it could be confusing. But I wanted to go back here because senior director, and this is what I'll say about senior. Senior director, you can get to senior on a lot of your own effort. So you can go out and go crazy, sponsor 5 managers, sponsor maybe some other people, and really build 20,000 in volume yourself. You could do that. You could actually sponsor 20 people who join at 1,000. That would create the senior director. But when we start to move up to executive director, you can't do this on your own. This is when your team is now starting to form, and you've got 2 leaders, 2 director legs. So those are 2 people who are out there doing what you're doing, duplicating what you're doing, and they're creating volume. They're sponsoring people. So that's the difference between senior. There's this transition that happens when you go from, hey, I can do it all myself pretty much, to having to really work as a team. And while it may seem difficult to get there, it's like a dream when you get there. Because now you have people who are out there duplicating. Your team is growing. You have people that are coming in and getting involved that you don't even know it's happening until you find out when someone sends you a notification on your computer. And that's really what we all want to work towards. We want to work towards, that's really what creates the freedom. So that when you get up in the morning, you check your volume, hey, it's another $2,000 or $3,000 more than it was the day before. And that's really what it's all about. So you moving to these levels is really, really important if you have a dream to really create freedom and to create a real viable business that's going to sustain you. Okay, so that's executive director. Let's move to presidential director. So as we look at presidential director, I'm just going to go through the qualifications. This is what it might look like. So in this case, this presidential director qualifies by having 3 directors in their first 4 levels. And again, I have them on the first level, but it could be anywhere in the first 4 levels. They create a group volume altogether, a group volume within those first 4 levels of $40,000. Qualification, 3 directors with 3 additional manager legs within the first 4 levels. And so that's what I'm picturing here. The income for a presidential director could go as low as $3,500 and as high as $15,000, pretty close. And then $62,000 in volume would enable you to make $5,000 a month. To achieve the rank first time. Over on the left it says to achieve this rank for the first time, it takes 3 directors and 6 manager legs. So you would add 3 more managers onto this the very first time that you get there. And I think the way they look at this is they want you to be able to sustain a level, a rank when you get there. So they make it a little bit of a stretch to get there, and they make the requalification a little bit easier. But here you have, I like this setup. I like this structure because you have at least 3 people who are serious about growing their business. These directors are likely going to move to senior directors someday. They're going to likely move to executive and presidential directors. So I like having this scenario. Now I'm going to show you, let me just ask if there's any questions first about this. Now, just you can unmute and just come on if you want. But you can imagine, I mean, we're only showing a few circles, but that means there would be circles all over the place. I mean, this is somebody that's probably been working to build their organization probably for a year, 2 years, however long it takes, and it's probably a pretty good sized organization. All right, so let's move to presidential director. There's 2 ways to qualify at presidential director. This is presidential director qualification with 2 senior directors. So 2 people within your first level who reach the senior director level, who qualify as senior, and when you have $40,000 in volume with those 2 senior directors and 4 additional manager legs, you now qualify at presidential director. And so I can't say which way it'll happen for you. I would say they're both great ways to do it. I think when I qualified for the first time, I had 2 senior directors, and now I qualify most often with directors, 3 or 4 directors, people who've reached director. But they make it easy and give us 2 ways to do it. And so the income, again, $62,000 to make $5,000 a month. Kedzie, I don't see you anymore. Are we still on course here? Did I miss anything?
I'm here.
Anything I've missed so far?
Yeah, no, everything's, the only thing that's banging around in my mind is now that we've changed our back office, people should really study, I think people should really study these charts, and you're going to have to visualize or fill in names of people in your back office because it's not laid out this way. Does that make sense to what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, like if you have your legs, you're going to want to keep track of your first 4 levels and who's doing what as you're growing, as you're going up. You want to keep, because it's not easy to look at it that way in the back office.
John, can I add to that actually? Good point, Kedzie, with the back office. As you go up in ranks, what I love about the new back office is on your first Evo page where you see what your volume in that is, on the bottom left, you actually see the rank you qualify, that you're qualified as, not paid as, and it has the little manager men that turn purple every time you have a qualifying manager. And if you have a director, as you get higher in the ranks, it'll show you that you need the managers that you need. And also for executive, for example, it shows you the 2 directors that you need. As soon as the computer recognizes you've accomplished it, it highlights it, colors it in. You don't know who it is. You'd have to click on it to see, and it takes you to there. And also in the back office, you can actually ask it for, show me the personal volume, or show me the overall volume in your group based on these levels, those levels, etc. So, Kedzie, good point. Have a play with the back office. But to reiterate what you started out with, John, don't concern yourself too much about this. It's good to have some knowledge on how we get paid and how to get to where we're going. Just run.
Yeah, there's probably people out here that haven't even seen their back office. I'm thinking that that's possible. So it would be good to go to your back office and check it out. And I think it probably would make sense to have maybe Yadira come on and maybe do something in a pathways training about the back office so that you can see how it works. But what I'll say about what Kedzie and what Sue is saying is keeping track. And so honestly, when you're really into this and you're growing your team, it's almost good to write out, especially when your team is small, write out who is on your team and be aware of what they're doing. I don't want to say on a daily basis because I know a lot of you have jobs and you're really, really busy, but I want to know what's happening. And that's the cool thing about our back office is that we can keep track of moment to moment what's happening. but you definitely want to know who are fitting in these circles. So if I was growing a team and I was a manager moving to director, I would want to know who on my team wants to do something, who wants to not just use the products, but wants to build a team. And then I'm going to write that person. In fact, I mean, I draw circles. So I'll draw circles, and I'll draw it like this, but it'll be in a circle, and I'll put names in there. So I know who I need to pay attention to, who I need to connect with, and to help them to grow and help them to sponsor the next person or find the next customer. So knowing who your team is really important. Not only just the people you sponsor, but the people they sponsor and the people they sponsor. At some point, it'll get so big that you'll only be able to pay attention to the senior directors or the directors and have them duplicate. But it's really, I mean, it's a business. It really is. And I guess the more you pay attention to it, the more that you're going to grow and you'll know where to go to work. But yes. Christina, do you have a question? Okay. Any questions before I go to the next slide? Remember, this is recorded tonight, so you can always go back and check it out.
John, this is Rosemary. If I'm not mistaken, when Karen was doing director school, didn't Yadira come on 2 different occasions and talk about this, what you were referring to in the back office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the Dropbox file, if you have that.
Yeah, people were told where they could go to find that if they weren't on the director school. It might help them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I still might check with her to come back and do it for us because I'll have the pathways all together so that people can use them. I think it'd be good to go over it again and ask questions. A lot of people haven't seen that. So I'll make that determination the next few days if we'll do this next week or not. But I appreciate that. I do remember that. Okay, so here's what I think is one of the most important slides on this program tonight. It's the Abundance Plan bonuses. And we've just talked about how you earn an income sponsoring people and how you grow an organization. What I love about our program is there's so many different ways that you make money. And there's so many ways that the company sends us checks. And so a lot of these are important when someone is getting started. I mean, we really want people, when they join us, to make some money as fast as possible. If someone goes like 3 or 4 months without a check, it's likely, well, they're definitely not doing the things necessary to get a check from GIA, but there's some frustration that can mount up. And so as leaders and as people who want to grow a team, we want to help someone to earn a check as soon as possible. So we're just going to go over some of the bonuses. You probably all know about these. You've probably gotten checks. Now remember, I said it took me 6 months. I had no idea why checks were coming. And I'm sure some of you have that same thing. Checks show up and you look at it and go, wow, should I tell the company about this? I know I've had that feeling. $50 shows up or $100 shows up and you can't remember. I'm sure everybody else has had that. Okay, so let's just go over these. Team expansion bonus. This is a $100 bonus. Happens every time you expand your front level team by 3 people in a 90-day period. Qualify in your first 30 days by sponsoring 3 people. So when someone joins your team, you want them to know about this so that they can go out and they can sponsor their 3 people in the first month. If they don't do in the first month, they have to wait till at some point the company says, okay, we're going to let everybody try to qualify again. So it's really important in the first month to do this. And so when you do that, every time you sponsor 3 people, within a 90-day period, they're going to send you $100. Now, you could sponsor 9 people, and they're going to send you how much, Sue?
$300.
$300. And that could happen in a week. So this is an important bonus for people who really want to go to really start to grow a team. And it's an encouragement for people to get a check in the early stages. The Forever bonus, a $100 bonus on new front-level business builders. Sponsor 3 business builders in your first month to qualify. And so if you do this, if you happen to sponsor 3 business builders or gold packages with the Inspired Wellness Home, then every time you sponsor a business builder for the rest of your career, you're going to get an extra $100 as a quick start bonus. And I don't know if anybody's on here that's done that, but it's pretty cool. It's another way to earn $100. Okay, so the IH2O bonus, $50 bonus every time a front level consultant orders an IH2O system. Any questions as I go along, just jump in. Abundance Club, $150.
John?
Yep.
Just for the team expansion, just to reiterate that it's the 3 people must be 250 or more.
Good one. Okay.
Yeah, in order to be one of those qualifying people.
Good point. Thanks, Carol. Appreciate that. I'll add that to my flyer here. Okay, so we talked about Abundance Club, $150 bonus every time the Abundance Club is achieved. Achieve it in your first month, and then your front level commission rises from 8% to 10%. Now, many of you have done this. Someone told you about this when you got started in your business, but I'm imagining some people probably joined and they weren't told that this is possible in your first month. So that's why this is important for you when you sponsor someone, that they know what the bonuses that are available for them so that they can really go for it. And what I love about these bonuses that it encourages people to go out and get to work in the first 30 days. That's really the point. But that moving from 8% to 10% can add up to a lot over a career. Yeah, I've never really worked it out, but that's a pretty good increase. Now, every once in a while, the company will come along and they'll have some promotion that will enable us to go ahead and do something to perform or sponsor some people or create some organization or reach a level, and they'll allow us to re-qualify if you didn't do it your first month. So they come out with that every once in a while. Manager qualification bonus, that's $50 every time you qualify as manager. So this is manager only, not anything above that, not anything below it. So if you come in and qualify as manager, you're going to get a $50 check every single month. And I know that probably some people have no idea why this check is arriving. It just comes. That's why you're receiving a $50 check after the month is over. In fact, on the 20th of the next month. I like this bonus.
John, excuse me, this is Kedzie. I like to remind people that, to maintain their manager status, number one, they're getting half of their auto ship or ARO paid for. Number two, they're really being a team player. They have, some dedication. And gradually, along the way, they may be finding somebody that's going to take them a lot farther and sort of, jumpstart their desire to really start building more.
Mm-hmm. Good point. I think, too, well, first of all, when you're starting out, qualifying as a manager is going to be important because you want to set the example for the people that you're sponsoring. And to qualify as a manager, that means you're probably out talking to people about GIA, talking about our products, or talking about the opportunity, and people are purchasing and creating this volume. And that's really what it's all about. And then finding those people who go out and do the same thing. So qualifying as a manager, as we've looked at this compensation plan, really is a big part of the building blocks of GIA. And so if you are someone who wants to create an organization and create an income, you want to do all the right things so that you can ask others that you sponsor who are on your team who want to do the same thing to do the right things. Make sense, Kedzie?
Yep.
Okay. Car bonus. Okay, my favorite bonus of all is the car bonus. I don't know why, I just like cars. But the company's going to pay us between $300 and $800 every single month when you qualify, and this begins at the director level. And I'm going to tell you, I've been around a long time, and there's very few companies who have a car program at such a low level. In fact, even we used to have to qualify as executive directors to be a part of the car program. A few years ago, we went to Alfred and said, look, we want something that's going to get people excited. We want you to lower the car bonus to director, and I'm telling you, it wasn't easy, but we had it done. And so that is such a great program to be able to get a car, not only because you're getting the car, but it's a great advertising. It's great to drive a car paid for by your company where people are seeing that. My license plate says GIA 1. Nevada license plate. So people ask me about that, and I say, yeah, I've got this company that pays for my car. A really nice car. So I'm hoping a lot of you may be thinking, oh, you don't like cars that much, but think from a business point of view. It would be good for you to drive a car paid for by GIA. You got a Honda, right?
Yeah, and I was just thinking earlier today that it's 11 months that I've had that car ready, almost a year paid
Wow.
for by GIA. That's mind-blowing. I feel like I just got it.
So that's, at the very least, that's $3,600 extra money that's been paid to you that's gone to your car. I know, Sue Johnson, you have a Dodge, I think, right? Dodge.
Oh, I do, John. And when I first got the license plate covering, I'm just like, I was, careful not to be in accidents because I'm watching my rear view mirror thinking, dude behind me is checking out my license plate. Dude behind me is checking out my license plate.
Yeah,
It's such a high, I tell you, people.
my wish for all of you is you get to the director level at least and get your car and just have a blast with it. It's so fun. Okay, so 2 more to go. Enrollment quick start bonuses. You can earn up to 20% bonus when you sponsor people. And so double level 1 in November. I guess we must have had something going on there. So quick start bonuses, I mean, you probably, if you sponsor people, you're getting those checks in the mail for $100 or $200 for sponsoring a manager or a director. And what I love about these bonuses, they're pretty substantial. I mean, $100 to $200 a month is pretty substantial check. And so if someone joins your team and they have some influence or they get excited and they go sponsor people, they're going to start making some pretty good money without even moving up in the ranks. This is just extra bonus money that someone earns. And I know I've had people who've earned several $1,000s a month just on sponsoring people. And I know, Pizzy, you've had that happen in your organization too. And then finally, special bonuses and incentives. The company comes up with different ideas, ways that they give us money, cruises, contests. In fact, we have one going on right now with the Transformation Challenge. And so those are incentives that are incentivizing us to do the things necessary to grow our organization. In fact, all of these bonuses, when you look at them, they're all designed to help us be encouraged, to be inspired, to do the things necessary to grow our teams and to create an income. So the next slide is, this is just some strategy stuff that I had down. We can go through this quickly. Key idea to make 60K, personal customer sales and recruiting. So customers are the key to long-term growth. Without question, the majority of the people who will be on your team will be customers using our products. They'll be on automatic reorder. They will never sponsor anybody. That'll be the majority. But at the same time, be open to people who'd like to become a GIA consultant and to grow a business just like you do. And I think the easiest way to do that is just to ask someone, hey, are you open? If you can get used to saying, hey, are you open? Our company's growing. We're looking for people who might be open to be a part of our team and to maybe create a second income or a new career. The number 2 is develop director legs. This is really key for all of you who aren't directors yet, is get to director as soon as you possibly can. And then along the way, search for leaders and help them reach directors. You can see as the building blocks of GIA, this is a very important part of our puzzle. Although it only takes 3 directors to qualify as presidential director, it's a good practice to create more than 3. The more directors you have, the more you're going to be qualifying for those higher levels in the compensation plan. Finally, promote rank advancement by developing a culture of customer and consulting growth and leadership development. And I know I'm looking at some of the pictures that on my screen now, and I know a lot of you do have that desire. And so we want to create that culture of constant and never-ending improvement, constant growth and leadership, and helping other people to see the possibilities that are available at GIA for them, and then helping them to make the decision, the right decision for them to join. So those are 3 strategies. And then the question that always comes out is, the next question is, how long is it going to take for you to reach your goals? And I can only smile when I see this, because there's just no way to say. There just isn't any way. We know what we need to do. We know what levels or what ranks look like, what we need to build. What really we don't know is how much you're willing to put in to make it happen. And it's not going to come with luck. It's really going to come with consistent effort. It's going to be a focus on exposing people to what GIA has to offer, growth, inspiration, and abundance. And it's going to be about finding those people who have the same desires as you do and let them know that there's possibilities here for them. That's really it. So I've seen people who have reached presidential director in their second month. I've seen people take years to get there. But I'll tell you this for sure. However long it takes, it's absolutely worth it, for sure. Let me get this back. All right. I see you're all still awake.
Awake and excited, John. That was fantastic.
I hope so.
Goosebumps.
So any questions or thoughts about this, the way we've laid out the compensation plan tonight? I know that it might be the first time for some of you. You can see that it's not that complicated. It really isn't. You don't really need to know all the details. I think probably the most important thing to know really is where the bonuses happen. Really get clear on that. The rest of it you'll learn, checks will come in, but you really want to have something that you know where the bonuses are so that you can help people see the possibilities if they want to go to work. Can't be that cold out.
What is up in Canada?
Hey, let me just say this.
Welcome to Canada.
There in Sudbury, Canada, the coldest I've ever been in my entire life, ever, was walking down the street in Sudbury in January. I remember that. I will never forget that. All right, so that's it. What do you think?
I think that people should cozy up to the bonuses because you will double your income by doing that.
It's so true, and it does reward your effort. That's the other thing about it. It rewards the things that you do, and it rewards them pretty quickly. So I guess, I don't want to say it this way, but if you're wondering if you're doing the right things to build your organization, look in your mailbox. If there's checks coming in, then you're probably doing a lot of the right things. If it's a little bit cold in there, maybe there's some things that we should be doing that we're not doing that are doable, especially now with the way we're doing, using eye water as an introduction and all the things that we have now. It's so easy to do. And honestly, my goal for you is freedom. That's really it. To be able to stay home, work from your home office, do a couple of Zooms, go play pickleball, come back and do a couple of Zooms, talk to a few people, cook dinner. It's a great life. That's what I want for all of you, for real. All right, any final comments before we go tonight? We went a little bit longer than normal, for sure. Sorry about that.
Well, one last comment, John, I just want to go over that you mentioned is, make a decision. Make the decision. And I think Jenna really set that example back in October last year. She made the decision to go for something and she went for it. She succeeded, and she can talk about the checks coming into the mailbox as you did. So out there, my friends, make the decision. Visualize it now as if it was and make it happen. It will happen.
All right, let's do this. I know it's late. Sorry it took so long.
Hey, John, somebody on the phone, I think, was trying to say something. I'm not sure.
Anybody have
it's Alana. Hey, John, I just wanted to thank you and ask you when you're going to be Presidential Director 2-star. That's
a great question. I don't really have a date. I'm looking at a few people on the screen that have a lot to do with that, so we'll have to get them all together and talk about that.
Okay.
All right, guys. I really appreciate you. This was fun tonight. Sorry it took a little longer. Hopefully it was helpful.
It was fabulous.
Let's make 2019 the absolute best year ever. All right?
Yes.
All right. See you later.